So here is Lee, and we are in our first intermediate together at Rocking Horse. And coming down the center line in the canter, he's got a little tilt to his head, and we were a little crooked in the down transition to the trot, and for a second he thought we were supposed to keep cantering, but I was able to catch it with a half halt. And then we come across the diagonal for a medium trot. I wanted to make sure I was straight first. Still working on straightness with him. He can get a little wiggly and evade the connection sometimes. So making sure I go into my corner to prepare for a shoulder in, which this is where you can see he can get a little noodly. So I didn't quite get the shoulders and I had a little bit of head tilt, but then he positioned himself quite nicely for a half pass. But again, working on the straightness. Coming in for a halt, almost had it square. Another thing working on with him is he likes to halt very abruptly on the front end, so trying to get him to transition his weight to the hind end to really engage the hind leg. Another medium trot, this time down the long side. Again, making sure I have the transition. And trying to prepare for the next shoulder in. And you really want the hind legs to stay straight on the center line, and you can see we're kind of like all over the place. So something to work on. The half pass is decent. And now I'm preparing him for our extended trot, which this will get better and better the stronger he gets. It was a decent. I would like to have him a little bit more engaged and underneath himself, but again, it's going to come with time. So another down walk transition. And every now and then he might kind of break behind the vertical, so I'm really trying to get him to push up and out, straight and through his body. And now we are in our extended walk. So this is where we want full extension of head and neck. He has a very lovely walk, very active, very swinging. I can maybe get him to take it a little bit further through his neck, but overall I was pretty pleased with that walk. Back to a medium walk. Now we're coming into preparing for our turn on the haunches to the left. I'm really going to keep him on my outside rein. Use my outside leg to tell him the turn, and then my inside leg to tell the hind legs to keep marching. He gets a little anticipating because he thinks he's supposed to canter, but he had another one to do. That one was pretty decent. He took one big step, but it's getting better and better. So trying to prepare for the walk transition. Fairly good. Still kind of is coming up through his head. He's still a little weak that way. And now medium canter down the long side. Make sure I transition back for the letter. And now I do my canter serpentine. I could always ride my canter serpentine loops better. It's always a struggle. But my loops are okay enough. Could have rode a little straighter across through E. And now across the diagonal, preparing for a canter walk. Really trying to make him want to sit. You can see I had it coming down, but he does this little tiny kind of like almost jig where he's not stepping through to the walk. So that mark can improve as I build the strength up. So now we have another medium. And he was very good there. And our serpentine, where again I feel like the shape of my loops could be a little bit better, and that's on the rider. My horse is very obedient for that. And again, preparing for across the diagonal, working on getting him straight in between my aids. And you can see he gets a little wiggly. And then that's pretty abrupt. And you see the trot steps. So that's supposed to be canter, walk, canter. And so if I can get that to improve with the strength and engagement, those marks will really come up. And now we do our half 10 meter. And we're going to have a down transition to trot, working on straightness and our halt. Overall, I was really pleased with his rideability. You see he kind of cocked the leg there, but this is a very nice test to ride. Now moving on to show jumping, which again, we're at the intermediate level. So really working on building our relationship and coming to the first fence. And he really gives me a good jump over that. Preparing, see the deep spot for the show jump. And now I want to make sure I keep coming through the turn. He jumps this a little weak, but that's all right. And then coming to the in and out, I know he has a little bit of a left drift, and with that being a right-handed turn, we caught that pole. And then I had to be a little careful there because he started to jump a little flat over the green oxer, so I want to get a little bit more shape. He was very good through this triple. And again, because he is the thoroughbred, I want to keep the power coming from the hind end and keep the shape. He's very similar in ride to Johnny. And so having our roll back, he jumps that very good. Keeping my pace, and this is a bit of a tricky turn here. And because he kind of drifted a little left off my line, I decided to add in the 6. And then I just got a little weak, and we took the back rail with the front leg. And then he jumps the last fence very nicely. So room for improvement, but pretty happy with the ride. And now on to cross country. You're going to see a little bit of my helmet cam since we weren't able to get the really good footage of some of the jumps. So we're heading to one of the most influential combinations on the course, which was the coffin. So the horses come up to a little bit of this roll top blind, and then their heads kind of go, they look straight down into that ditch. So gave him a little bit of encouragement. He popped right through it very quickly. And I was pretty pleased with how he was through that combination. So now heading to just a nice gallopy table. I kind of get in a little tight to this distance than I would like. But he's a good boy and kind of pats the ground for me. And coming to a narrow fence to narrow fence combination, which is in the 5 stride. And again, I kind of get a little close. And he was a very good boy to stay nice and honest and jump straight through the flags for me. And then we head to this bench. It is very small, especially for our intermediate horses, but he jumped that no problem. And now heading to another decent sized table. It's actually on the advanced course as well. And you'll see you balance a little bit, and then we're able to catch it right out of stride. And now I'm going to kind of tell him to keep his head up a little bit. He can sometimes get a little low in his gallop. And I want to balance here for the corner-to-corner combination, which is in a 4 stride, but I really had to balance. So stride really opens up. And he was very good through there. So here is from my point of view with the helmet cam. And we get in, and it really happened pretty quick and felt pretty snug, but he jumped it really well. And now we're heading to the backfield, coming to another table fence. He does a good job. Catch that one right in stride. And now coming to the Canter to Canter combination, which is in the 4 stride. And for some reason after this fence, I completely let go of my left rein, so he was very good to hold that line. Here's a little side view of it. You can see my right hand gets up really high, because again, I didn't have my left rein. And he was a very good boy to kind of hold the line for me there. And so now you're going to see me coming to this roll top combination with the mound. So really working on the balance here. Going to hold with my body. And you can see it gets pretty sticky here. And gave him that time with my balance. Really want to stay back behind the horse so they have that time and the weight's not on the front end. Now I'm going to take you to my point of view. Again, you can see he just got a little sticky. Really stayed behind him. He was very good. Now heading to a split rail oxer. We find a good shot to this. Jumps up very easily. It's a very scopy horse. Now I'm picking my line. You can see some footprints heading towards the water jump. So we kind of come in here. And again, all of our courses are marked with certain colors so we know where we're going, and we've walked the course previous. He jumps right in. And he was a very, again, good boy here because I didn't find the best distance to that chevron. And we did stay in the flag, even though it may have seemed like we jumped left, but he just had to fit it in. And then we head to another table, and then coming to the last fence, and just let him cruise along. Want to make sure you don't have your horse kind of strung out coming to the last fence, so make sure I have him in balance. Jumps it great, and we coast on through the finish flag. So overall, really pleased. We had a great run at this intermediate course at Rocking Horse and finished up 10th.